everybody. We're going to be baking today, and what we're baking is the best ever fat-free, sugar-free pumpkin pie. Got a special spice blend that's going to appeal to all you pumpkin spice latte lovers. We're going to be cooking with the new sugar that's out, the new sugar substitute. Fantastic. So let's get started. I was raised in a family of very loud Italian chefs, bakers, and restaurateurs. I'm bringing my culinary skills to the table, and we are going to cook fabulous food with little or no fat, sometimes sugar-free too. Please join me in my kitchen. This is Melinda, and I'm the Fat-Free Gourmet. All right, here we are. We're going to start making our recipe, but before we do, just a few things. You're probably asking a couple questions. Why fat-free? Well, I am a heart attack bypass survivor, and I'm also a breast cancer survivor. Both of those recommended low-fat diet, but I've been eating low-fat for years. I also have a sister who is a diabetic, and she needs to eat sugar-free. So that's kind of how this recipe started, and let me introduce you to what she introduced me to. So on one of her visits, she brought me Swerve. And this stuff is fantastic. This is not a paid endorsement. I'm just showing you products, okay? So I tried the confectioner's sugar. It was awesome, made a great icing. I was so impressed, I went out and I bought the brown sugar as well. In the meantime, I find this one at Costco, which is the Lokanto. And this is a monk fruit blend with erythritol. And it's great in baking. I really, really like all of these products. We're going to be using all of them today. And also I want to talk a little bit about spices. Okay, spices are and seasonings are really important in your cooking. So I'm going to put these back over here. You have probably heard it said before that fat is flavor. Well, that's not true. We need spices to make that fat or whatever we're trying to cook taste good. Okay, everybody says they love bacon. They think of that as being fat. But remember, bacon is cured. So when you cure bacon, you add spices, you give it flavor. Nobody ever sat down with a big jar of lard and just scooped right into it. And if you ever have, it's tasteless. You have to add flavor. So we have to add flavor to all our foods, whether they have fat in them or whether they're not fat. You just have to add flavor. Case in point, I have bacon flavoring here. I can put this on anything that I cook and impart some bacon flavor. So just a thought for you, for those of you who are not familiar with how seasoning works, and that is going to lead us into what I'm about to talk about today. So this special spice blend for the pumpkin pie, if you're going to just merely take everything else besides the spices and dump in your pumpkin pie spice, you're missing out. That's what makes this recipe so good, is the combination of spices. And that's what I like to do. I like to put together spices and seasonings that make food taste really good. You can cook vegetables, for example, in a pan, and the longer you cook them, the more they release sugars and they have a different flavor. There's lots of ways we can impart flavor in our food, right? We don't have to have flavorless food. We can do it. So what I'm going to use is, I'm going to use some Vietnamese cinnamon. It's a different flavor than cinnamon. You've got to try this. It's great, okay? It's really good. Vietnamese cinnamon. We're going to be using the secret ingredient, which all you pumpkin spice latte lovers are just going to love, is the addition of white pepper. There is pepper in the pumpkin spice latte that's so popular in this season. So we're going to put that in our pumpkin pie. We're going to really try and make this very special and very delicious with spices. That's the key. Okay, so this can be baked in a 9-inch glass pan or a 9-inch springform pan. First thing you want to do when you start a recipe, first thing I like to do, turn on your oven. So 350, and that's in either glass or the springform pan. They just have a different cooking time in the end. So 350, we're going to start that, and then we're going to start to prep our pan. So let's go ahead and make our crumb crust. Crumb crust. It consists of toasted oats. Toasted oats are something I keep in my pantry. I make them. I take raw organic oats and I lay them on a baking sheet and toast them for about 5-10 minutes till they get nice golden brown. And then I use them as garnishes and in recipes. So good thing to have in your pantry. What I'm using here is an immersion blender mini food processor. It came with my Cuisinart. I have a immersion stick here, and this little cool attachment came with it. So I'm going to be using this to make our crumb crust. If you've got a little teeny food processor, that works well. If you don't have that, a blender will work too, okay? All right, so here we go. We're going to put in our toasted oats. And in here I have 1 teaspoon of our Vietnamese cinnamon and 1 teaspoon of the Lokanto granulated sugar. I'm going to dump that in. We want to just grind this until it's about the size of panko breadcrumbs. We don't want it to be powdery. We want it to have a little bit of grain to it. So here we go. Cool little attachment, huh? Let's see what we got here. A little bit more, a few more times. Okay, cool. All right, that's good. Yes, perfect. We want a little bit of the oats showing. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is spray my pan. This is cooking spray. If you use too much, remember you're adding fat. Cooking spray does have fat in it. Okay, I take my crumbs, dump them in. And we're just gonna roll this around and kiss the edges just enough to cover so we can put our filling in and it has a nice edge. Okay, our pan is done. We're gonna set that aside. Start on our filling. Okay, I've got 1 15-ounce can of pumpkin puree in here. Don't buy the pumpkin pie filling. I know everybody tells you that, but it's just a reminder, because if you buy the pumpkin pie filling, you've got something else completely different than just the plain pumpkin puree. You can buy organic if you want, any flavor, any kind rather, just so it's not flavored. All right, so to that we're gonna add our ingredients, and I've got 1 cup of egg substitute. You can use all egg whites, just make sure you measure out 1 cup of egg whites, okay? I'm going to put in some low-fat buttermilk. Now, if you want to keep the 3/4 gram of fat out of this recipe, you can go ahead and substitute non-fat milk with just a pinch of salt, and that'll work too. This gives it a little more richness. You probably wouldn't notice it. You can add a little bit more of the protein powder, which we're going to put in, if that will help. But I like to use the buttermilk. It just my preference. And it doesn't add that much fat. 3/4 gram is nothing, because you're going to cut this pie into 6 or 8 pieces and it's minimal. So anyway, low-fat buttermilk. All right, so the next thing I'm going to put in is my vanilla, and that is 1.5, but I always like to just put a little more vanilla in because I love vanilla, and but pumpkin just needs help that way. That's just my opinion. But anyway, okay, the next thing we're going to put in is, I'm a protein powder freak. I like to enhance everything I eat with protein powder. One of the nutritionists that I dealt with had always told me, if you're going to eat oatmeal, put protein in it. It helps your body to absorb the nutrients. I always like to add it. It's good for you. This is Biochem, and it is fat-free and does not have any flavoring in it. So I will put the link down below so you can find this if you want to buy it. It's great. I've been using it for years. I'm also going to put the links in for all the sugars we're using, so they'll be down below in the description. But anyway, here goes our protein powder in the mix. Okay, now we're going to do our secret spice blend here. Okay, so this is our Vietnamese cinnamon and ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of each. That goes in the mix. Okay. And in here we have 1/4 teaspoon of cloves and 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. Okay, I haven't put any nutmeg in here. If you want to put a pinch of nutmeg, go ahead. I just didn't want it in this spice mix. be my guest if you want to. But what I did put in is the white pepper, and there's 1/8 teaspoon of white pepper. Yum, okay. All right, so we got most of our wet ingredients in there, all of our wet ingredients in there. This is the sugar. I am going to break up this packed brown sugar, just so I avoid getting lumps in my batter. I'm going to be putting it on the mixer. You don't have to. At this point, you could take and dump this sugar into the bowl and just whisk it if you want to. But I'm going to put this on my mixer and mix it up. I want to get all those little crumbly bumblies out of there. Like I said, you could dump it in and whisk it if you want. Perfectly fine. We're going to dump that into the mix. And we're going to put this on the mixer. I'm going to be using my wire whisk attachment. I just like the way it blends the filling better. If you don't have one, you can certainly use your plain mixer blades. I'm going to turn this on slow because we don't want to get cinnamon in the face. I'm going to blend this for about a minute or so until it's well mixed, and then we're going to pour it into our pie crust. Now this is going to bake in a 350-degree oven. I'm going to scrape this down. It's going to bake in a 350-degree oven for 45 to 55 minutes. All ovens are different. They just aren't calibrated the same, so you got to be careful. I like to move my beater a little bit to get it out of the way so I can scrape down everything. Okay. We'll give it one more hit. So all ovens are different, so you have to test. You want to make sure that when you insert a knife into the edge of the pie, it comes out clean. The center of the pie, relatively clean. It can be a little bit less cooked because when you pull your pie out of the oven, it is going to cook a little bit longer. So that center will set up a little bit, but don't leave it, don't take it out if it's too raw. You want it to be somewhat almost there. Okay, you can, after this is done, you can serve this chilled or you can serve it warm, whatever you like. If you want to chill it, let it cool to room temperature, put it in your refrigerator for about 2 hours. I'm going to get all this batter out here. You know, it smells so good. It's not even baking yet, and it smells wonderful. So, now the thing about pumpkin pies is you don't want a lot of air holes in the batter. And sometimes when you're mixing, you do get those little bubbles in it. So, two things. We're going to just bang this on the counter a little bit. So it's going to be kind of noisy. But what it does is it gets the bubbles to the top. See, there's one right there. You can't see it, but I'm telling you, there's a bubble that came up right there. You just think I'm trying to make noise. I know. It's not true. Okay. Oh, there's another one. Okay, there we go. I think we got it all. What it also does is this batter's a little bit thicker, maybe the normal pumpkin pie batter, but the top of it, when you pour your batter in, the top of it may have little, may have little bumps in it. You want to smooth those out because whatever goes in the oven is going to come out that way. It will have those imprints in there. See, I don't even like that. My OCD is taking over. We'll get it out. And there's another bubble. Okay. So I have my oven ready, and I'm going to pop this in the oven, and we'll see you back when it's finished baking. Okay, here they are. This one just came out of the oven. It's very warm. This is our glass pan. This is our 9-inch springform. These are both 9-inch pans. We're going to pull this one out of the pan and plate it up so you can see how pretty it looks. Now, when we're cooking with the sugar substitutes, they like to leave a snowy little glaze on top, and it doesn't, it doesn't mean that you've baked it wrong or anything. It's just the way that these sugar substitutes react. And it's kind of nice because when you go to bite into this, you're going to feel the crunch. The fork actually crunches through that sugar topping. It forms like a glaze or crystallization. So anyway, this is our spring form. You can see the frosting on this one too. It's kind of frosty. And we're going to take this out of the pan. I'm just going to run my offset spatula around here. I'm going to use this to take it out of the pan. Okay, so we're not using fat in this, and these are a little bit more difficult to get out of the springform pan sometimes because that's the nature of cooking with no fat. So let's see if we can undo this. There we go. That comes right off. I've got a pedestal plate right here, but this top comes off. You know what? Let me move that out of the way. I have got to loosen this from the bottom, and I'm going to do that by simply taking my time, trying to leave most of that crumb crust on here. I've got to get it under there evenly, and what I'm going to do after I get this loosened up is I am going to take 2 spatulas and lift it off the bottom of this pan. Okay. Got to go slow. It's just one of those Zen things, you know, where you take your time. You can see some of the crumbs are coming off. I think I've almost got it. Yes. Success. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to get my big one under first. This is always fun. It's a challenge, you know. Can I do this? Let me do it from this side and then swing it around. I think that'll be easier. Okay, there's one. And now for the second one. Don't worry about all the crumbs. Okay, we ready? We're going to transfer. I think I need to go this side a little bit more. Okay, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Try and tuck that back under. Let's take this out of the way. You know what? I hate making messes, so let me clear this so I can get it in front of me. Okay. I want to take this out really slow. Offset spatula here so I can hold that side in together. Pull that out. Very good. Almost there. Now I'm just going to take some of those, and it's centered on the plate. And we've got a few crumbs that hit on top. We're going to take those off because we're going to dust this with the Swerve confectioner sugar. Okay? So I've got some right here. And we're just going to dust the top of this the same way you do. This is kind of unusual for pumpkin pie, but because of the way the top of it, as you can see this one here, I think that's good enough. Let's put that over here. Because of the way this sugar likes to react, this sugar substitute likes to react. You see the snowy part on this? I just thought it was a real pretty smooth presentation. Kind of looks like snow. And then I'm just going to take some raspberries because I like the color. You know, I would use cranberries, but they're not very sweet. And if someone decided to eat them, they wouldn't taste very good. So there you go. There is our presentation for holiday dinner. I love the powdered sugar. You want to do the powdered sugar probably not very long before you serve it because it will soak down into the pumpkin pie. Now, I know this pumpkin pie over here is a little less fancy, but this is actually really good for like family dinner. And you could dust it and put the raspberries on it as well. I just think it looks pretty on a pedestal, especially if you're doing a buffet style. But there they are, and we are going to probably taste this one. My goodness, I lost the dip. That's okay, it'll still taste good. Okay. You can see the little crumb crust coming off. It's so good. Anyway, here's what we've got to taste. I wish you could be here. Yummy. And that Vietnamese cinnamon is just, it makes it. It really does. Oh my gosh. It's like a holiday in your mouth, okay? I have to have another bite. Really good. Okay, 3. You guys have got to make this. For sugar-free, fat-free, it is phenomenal. It's an easy recipe, not difficult. Serve it either way. Great for a buffet, great for if you're having your guests over. It's all good. Listen, if you guys enjoyed this, if you like cooking with me, if you want to see more fat-free cuisine, please, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell so you get notifications when I post a new recipe. I really want to share what I know with you about cooking fat-free. I've been doing this for over 25 years, and I want to be able to give you guys good quality content here on YouTube. There's a lot of creators on YouTube, and in order to support the community, you really need to subscribe. That's how we survive out here. So like I said, please, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button, and let's cook some more wonderful fat-free food. Low fat too, and sometimes sugar-free. Anyway, you guys have a beautiful holiday season. I wish you the best time with your family and friends. And come back and see me again soon. We'll cook some more great food, okay? All right, you guys, take care. Bye-bye. See you next time.